Hi, and welcome to this episode of My Generation with me, Megan Zwerling. On this episode, we caught up with a good friend of mine, Blake Myers, to discuss politics. So he is a political science major at UCLA and also in NROTC.
There are classes, like I've taken a class on the how Congress works, a class on how the evolution of the presidency. Mm-hmm. And for each of those classes, like the more American politics focused classes, you rely on the our founding documents and whatnot, mm-hmm. and you actually do read over them.
And are you tested on them?
Sure, tested on them. Like in college, it's not rote memorization.
Yes.
It's more about here are the documents, here's what they say, what can you tell me, what can you write an essay about how the presidency has evolved and how it has changed from, how our founding fathers saw it, what they had in mind for it, and how it has, progressed. Well, I see America as a country where you have the freedom to, do what you want, you have the liberty to be who you want to be and not be, not necessarily looked down upon, but be castigated for having certain views, certain beliefs, and, or just being a certain way. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's kind of what I fight for, or why I want to, be in the military, is to protect those values, and really it's to protect or to try to show the rest of the world that America is this light upon the hill. One of the things that separates us is this idea of give me your weak, you're tired, you're poor, mm-hmm. and we'll make a strong country out of that.
And pursuing the American dream.
Right, and pursuing the American dream. I believe that it's become a lot tougher. The difference between our generation and our parents' generation is pretty stark, especially coming out of college. Most of my friends don't, they don't really know, they can't really get a job, This job security is just not there.
Nowadays, if you don't have that experience, which is harder and harder to get
right.
because of plenty of things, one of which being everyone wants the experience,
right.
and there's a ton of people, a ton of competition, but also because of government regulation with minimum wage and then you have to pay your interns. There's some options where you can do college credit instead of mm-hmm. paying your interns, and ways around it, but a lot of companies don't want to take on people anymore, don't want to take on that risk and liability. Mm-hmm. Because of various government regulations, not just dealing with minimum wage.
Sure.
And so then when you come out of college, you don't have the experience, and so you have to start with this low-paying job that you may not be able to move up from.
Right. Yeah, but at the same time, not that minimum wage is necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not you want to be able to pay people living wages. I think minimum wage is a really good thing because an individual isn't going to have as much bargaining power as a business. It is in the government's both best interest and obligations to help out these, the struggling people of their country.
Yes, it is within the politicians' best interest because they have lobbyists going against them.
Sure.
And they are making money off of the big business. So isn't it the politicians that we should be going after from profiting from the American dream and not giving back? And not the big businesses who are trying to game the system? They're just trying to play within the system, mm-hmm. and sometimes outside of the system, so that they can profit.
Right.
And they can achieve the American dream. So shouldn't we look to those who are profiting but are also making the regulations as a problem?
I mean, it's a multifaceted issue. It's not just
Yes.
it's not just these businesses that I'm talking about. Because you're right. At the end of the day, a business is just focused on the deadline, right? They're focused on, making a profit. They're focused on making a profit, and usually like short term, they're focused on having their best employees and paying them as little as possible because they want to make the most profit. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
right?
I wouldn't say the focus is making the best product and paying their employees the least. I think they want to have a good work environment. They want, yes, everyone should benefit from this growing business. And I think that if you are a good businessman, that is your goal, that your business and everything that incorporates benefits from the products you make and the revenues you bring in.
Right, but at the end of the day, they're not focused on the welfare of their employees necessarily. A business is not concerned with any of the individuals really, right? Like the bottom line is if it's making a profit, right?
The bottom line is the bottom line.
Right, the bottom line is the bottom line. I like that line. But
I'm sure someone else said that before me and I'm using it.
But yeah, so it is up to another entity to, assign these regulations that a business would not be able to, in the 19th century or whatever, you have all these businesses that were not providing, safe working conditions because, they didn't have to. And the free market capitalists at the time were all like, well, if the market will correct itself if people don't want to work in those conditions. But the problem is that people are going to work in those conditions because they need to survive. They need the money, right?
Yes.
And so they don't have this bargaining power, and then that's where the government needs to intervene.
We agree on the point that there needs to be regulation.
Sure.
But I think the extent to which it's done, the ends don't necessarily justify the means all the time because you cannot govern morality. You can put regulations in place to ensure like the working age or safe working conditions, but I think government has stepped over that line and is trying to govern morality. Bottom line, you cannot govern morality. You cannot institute morality. And I think government has been trying to do that because they know best, and they don't know best.
Sure, the government doesn't necessarily know what's best, but the government operating as a separate entity from the capitalist system has a better view of, say environment issues. A business in the business community would never get behind something that doesn't directly affect them. Or like a business cannot, these businesses that exist won't look towards the future with regards to the environment. They don't care about that.
Unless it affects them.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And once it does affect them, then it's too late, right? They have no foresight. They have no ability to...
They're not going to worry about it until they need to.
Right. And then to me, that's
just like with us in our politics, though. So government can regulate, can have foresight for the environment, but look at itself. Does it have no foresight as to what's coming down the road if they don't balance the budget?
Well, that's another good point. I think it's definitely it is a good point, but so you have all
Do we need a governing body for the government?
No, we don't need a governing body for the government. But, there are many facets of the government. It's not just this one, hulking institution, right?
But isn't that how it's perceived by the American public now? Because the federal government is so huge, it has grown in size, and it's just, it's too large and it's not transparent.
I would agree. I mean, there are definitely transparency
No one
issues.
knows what's going on.
Yes, but
Remember to check out our website, www.usvigilance.com, to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and check out our blog, bevigilantbefree.blogspot.com, on Wednesdays and on Sundays. This is Megan Zwerling. Be vigilant, be free. Did you want to do outtakes?
Hello. This is my new plan for America, everyone. If you elect me as president, I'll promise every man, woman, and child will be given a puppy.
Okay.
We'll get rid of Social Security, get rid of health care, and substitute them with puppies.
Sounds like a plan.